I thought that Haney showed tremendous heart, resiliency, pride, quality of behaving like a champion, refusing to be knocked out the best that he could. So I'm not going to go down that road and say Haney was a less of a fighter, less of a chin. That's what. No. Garcia surprised us. It couldn't have started better for Garcia, for his confidence, for him to say, I'm here and now I'm okay. Then the first round hurting him. And the reason he hurt him was that Haney stretched a little bit with the jab. He reached a little with the jab. But what he did, his right glove dropped. And Garcia's best punch is his counter left hook. And he landed the counter left hook where the glove disappeared, where it dropped. He placed the left hook there on the tip of the chin of Haney. And it hurt him. And that changed the course of the fight too. I think when he got hurt early throwing a jab, it dissuaded him from throwing a jab. It made him hesitant about throwing a jab. So I think that all of those things compounded together to create the nightmare that it turned out to be for Haney. And I'll go back to what you touched on about the conditioning of Garcia. Garcia fought sporadically throughout the night. Yeah, he had his moments where he almost knocked him out. But he had a lot of moments where he grabbed. He had a lot of moments where he turned his back, where he did that, whatever you want to call it, that poor man's version of a shoulder roll. I don't know what it was. But I'm not going to argue with what he did. He's smarter than me. He's smart. It worked. But at the end of the day, when you get down to the truth of what we watched, Garcia fought in spots. Now, those spots where he did fight, a lot of them he hurt the guy. A lot of them he almost knocked the guy out. But there were a lot of spots where he didn't fight, where he was moving around, he was biding time, killing time, surviving, whatever you want to call it, grabbing, but he was not throwing punches. He was not active offensively.
Yep.
I think if he fought more steadily, in a more consistent manner.
Yeah.
But he couldn't because he didn't believe he could. He believed that he had to save some gas, some petrol. Because if he didn't do that, one of two things would have happened. Haney was behaving like he wanted to keep that title. As bad as the night was, he was going to just keep coming. And Haney would have, in his mind, just said, okay, I got to break this guy down. And he would have just kept coming. And he either would have got knocked out, which is a possibility, because he came in reckless, Haney. There was a lot of times he came in so reckless that if Garcia had punched, he would have caught him because he was coming in from too far away, unlike Haney. Again, the antithesis of what Haney usually is, which is a buttoned up, solid technical fighter that does things the right way, in a patient, controlled way. He didn't do that. I think that's a big reason why Garcia was slowing it down and grabbing him, because otherwise Haney had no choice. Haney, if he wasn't grabbing him, Haney would have been pushing him, and one of two things would have happened. Garcia would have started breaking down, or he would have caught him a punch again and hurt him again and maybe knocked him out. Here's the technical flaws of why Haney was getting hit. First of all, Garcia wasn't complicated. He hit him with the jab, straightened him up, and then hooked off it. Bop, 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 bop. One of the most basic combinations in boxing. Beautifully done by Ryan Garcia. It straightened him up, and then the right hand was a little low. Bang, he hooked off. That was one way. One way he caught. Another way was with the right hand sometimes, which Garcia, isn't known for. He's known for the left hook more. But Haney kept laying his head on the wrong side, on the right side. You can't lay your head, I'm telling you what I teach. You cannot lay your head on the right side. when you lay your head on the right side and there's space, you're going to get hit a right hand because you're in the alleyway of the right hand. You must weave back or just stay on the left. On the left, you're outside. Here, you're outside the right hand. But when you're over here, here's the right hand, it's going to hit you. When you're over here, you're outside the right hand. On the left is where you need to lay your head. That was a technical flaw. Obviously, nobody corrected. He never paid a price for it before, but that's something that has to be corrected in the gym. It was never corrected. So that was one of the reasons why he kept getting hit right hands. Now, look, you can do that wrong and lay on the right side, Ken. But you know what you have to do? You got to close the gap. You got to get in close so there's no room to throw the right hand. Then you're okay. But to lay on the right side with space, with room, no. And he got hit with right hands. He got hit with right hands doing that. It's a funny thing, but I'll tell you another thing that worked against Haney that really normally would work against the guy doing it. But in this case, it sabotaged Haney. It helped lead to his demise. And what that was what I touched on earlier, and you touched on, about how sporadically Garcia fought, how inconsistent his offense was. There were rounds where it went 2 minutes without a punch, a minute without a punch, 40 seconds, whatever it was. There were spots there that were dead spots where there was no punching. And it looked like, okay, Haney's back in this fight because after he got hurt, he won a bunch of rounds. He was back in the fight. He was winning the fight. But then all of a sudden, bang, he got hurt. And then the late rounds was all downhill. But before that, yeah, he was back in the fight because there was only one guy throwing punches. There was only one guy fighting. It was Haney. But I'm going to tell you, that sporadic, inconsistent punching and offense of Garcia that was getting him behind in the scorecards, maybe, I'll tell you where it was serving him. I'll tell you where it won the fight for him in some ways. It made Haney, and probably his corner, his father, but more importantly, it made Haney get a sense of false security to start to think he's not going to punch. And then when he punched, he caught him by surprise. Now, I know people are going to say, Teddy, you're not supposed to be a professional top fighter and get caught by surprise inside that squared circle. I get it, but we're human. It happens. When a guy ain't throwing punches for long periods of time, yeah, sometimes you get reckless. You get careless. You get a false sense of security. You think, okay, he's not going to punch now. I'm going to do this. Bang! He suddenly punches where he hasn't punched for a minute. You get caught by surprise. That worked for Garcia. That hurt Haney. His lack of consistency offensively by Garcia actually worked for him. Because then when he did pick it up, Haney never expected it in spots. And you can see it. You can see that he didn't expect it. So I think there was a myriad of things, of different elements floating around that night in Brooklyn that all conspired against Haney.